You've probably run your retirement numbers 100 times. But what if I told you that the perfect retirement age has nothing to do with your spreadsheet and everything to do with one overlooked factor that could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars? Most people think retiring at 65 is the gold standard. But when you look at the actual outcomes of thousands of retirees, the real sweet spot might surprise you. And the reason why could change everything you thought you knew about retirement planning. So are you asking yourself, should I retire at 59 and a half, wait until 72, or somewhere in between? You're definitely not alone. The data we're about to explore might give you the clarity you've been searching for. But here's what might shock you about recent research. Almost half of retirees didn't actually choose when they stopped working. They found that over 48% of retirees left earlier than planned, often due to layoffs, illness, or burnout. Only 10% retired later than expected. What I see more often than not is people saying, "I'll figure it out later." But when I talk with clients who have actually retired, they tell me, "I wish I had taken the time 5 years ago to plan ahead." This isn't about picking a retirement date today. It's about building the margin now, so when the moment comes, you can say yes. I tell people, plan like you'll choose your retirement date, but prepare like you won't. Because when life throws you curveballs, and it will, the real win is being ready to say yes to the opportunity. And what might surprise you is that you could be way closer to retirement than you think. Let me show you what the research actually reveals about when Americans retire, and more importantly, what happens to those who retire at these two critical ages, 59 and a half versus 72. Here's something fascinating. Over half of Americans retire between ages 61 and 65. Almost 2/3 are out of the workforce by 69. And here's the kicker. 1 in 5 actually retire before they even hit 54. So if you're in your 50s right now, you may already be standing in that retirement planning zone, even though it doesn't feel like it. The question isn't if anymore. It's how ready are you really? But there's a specific age that changes everything, and most people have no idea why age 59 and a half is so powerful. Let me explain what really happens at this age that could save you tens of thousands in taxes. Before age 59 and a half, most withdrawals from traditional IRAs and 401ks get hit with a 10% early withdrawal penalty on top of your regular income tax. There are some exceptions. Disability, certain medical expenses, the rule of 55 for some 401ks. But for most people, touching that money before 59 and a half is expensive. The day you reach 59 and a half, that 10% penalty disappears for most retirement accounts. You still owe ordinary income tax on traditional accounts, but the penalty is gone. This means your retirement accounts stop being locked boxes and start becoming tools you can actually use. But here's what most people miss. The planning opportunity isn't just that you can take money out. It's that you can now design how money comes out and how that interacts with Social Security, Medicare, and required minimum distributions later. Think of 59 and a half as getting the master key to your retirement accounts. The question isn't, should I drain them now? The question is, how can I unlock just enough in the smartest way so I can buy back my time without overpaying the IRS? And this brings us to something that could save you a fortune in taxes, but you need to understand the new rules first. Recent law changes gave people in their late 50s and early 60s an even bigger planning window. Under the Secure Act 2.0, the age to start required minimum distributions from most retirement accounts increased to 73, and for people born in 1960 or later, it will rise again to 75 in 2033. That means if you're in your early 60s today and born after 1959, you may have roughly 10 to 15 years between age 59 and a half and your first forced distribution. Why does this matter? Because every year you intentionally move money out of tax-deferred accounts on your terms. Perhaps by converting a slice to a Roth IRA or taking withdrawals while you're in a lower bracket. You're shrinking the size of those future required distributions. Larger required distributions later can push you into higher tax brackets in your 70s and 80s. Trigger higher Medicare Part B and D premiums through income-related surcharges, and reduce your flexibility to manage taxes in later years. In plain English, if you keep working full-time past 59.5 without a tax plan, you may be handing the IRS and Medicare thousands of dollars a year in avoidable taxes and premiums when you're 75 and tired of paperwork. The sweet spot is this: fewer or no paychecks coming in, penalty-free access to your retirement accounts, and no required distributions yet. That window opens up around age 59.5. But there's a hidden cost of working too long that most people never consider, and it's not what you think. Most people assume that working longer always makes retirement safer. More savings must mean more security, right? Not always. If you work full-time deep into your 60s, you may actually lose your lowest tax years. The years when you could have done Roth conversions at relatively low rates, or drawn down some tax-deferred balances before required distributions start. Delaying retirement can also mean postponing Social Security strategies, forcing more of your lifetime income into later years when tax brackets, Medicare surcharges, and required withdrawals collide all at once. There's another cost that doesn't show up on a spreadsheet. Every extra year you work full-time in your early 60s is one less year when you are as healthy, energetic, and mobile as you are today. Many retirees describe the activities they can do in their early 60s, long trips, hiking with grandkids, big house projects, as very different from what they feel able to do in their mid-70s. So the real question isn't, can I squeeze out a few more dollars by working longer? It's, what am I giving up in tax opportunities and in healthy years by staying in the office when I may not need to? If your doctor looked you in the eye and said your healthiest 5 years start right now, would you spend them in meetings you don't enjoy? Or would you spend them on the people and projects you care about most? But let's address the elephant in the room. The two big fears that keep people working past 59.5. The number one thing people tell me when they think about stopping work before 65 is this: I'm terrified of health insurance costs. That fear is real, but it becomes manageable once you put numbers to it. If you retire in your early 60s and buy coverage on the Affordable Care Act marketplace, average benchmark monthly premiums for someone in their early 60s run around $1,000 to $1,100 per person. Before subsidies, that means a 62-year-old couple might see quotes near $2,000 a month before tax credits, depending on income and location. But here's the key. When you stop working and lower your taxable income between 59.5 and 65, you may actually reduce those marketplace premiums through income-based subsidies and open up more room for Roth conversions without hitting the highest brackets. So health insurance isn't always a reason you cannot retire. It's a cost that needs to be built into a smart plan. The second fear is simpler, but harder to answer. Do I really have enough? People often ask me, how do I know when I have enough to retire? Most expect the answer to be a single dollar number. 1 million, 2 million, 25 times their expenses. Rules of thumb, like the classic 4% rule, can be useful starting points, but they were built with very conservative assumptions and fixed spending in mind. Research has shown that in many historical periods, withdrawing 4% a year actually left retirees with more than they started with. The real definition of enough isn't just the size of your accounts. It's the clarity of your income plan. When you know your spending, your tax brackets, your withdrawal strategy, Social Security timing, and healthcare plan, you stop guessing. A couple with $1.5 million and a clear strategy can feel far more confident than a couple with $4 million and no plan. Clarity is what turns fear into freedom. Now let's talk about what happens if you wait until 72, because this decision could cost you more than you realize. At age 72, you hit a major milestone. Required minimum distributions begin for most retirement accounts. You must pay income tax on each withdrawal, and the first distribution must be taken by April 1st of the year after you turn 72. If you fail to withdraw the correct amount, you'll be taxed a penalty of 50% of the amount you should have withdrawn. That's not a typo, 50%. But here's what's really happening at 72. You're losing control. For years, you could choose when and how much to withdraw from your retirement accounts. At 72, the IRS starts making those decisions for you. If you've been working and contributing to retirement accounts through your 60s and early 70s, those accounts have been growing. Larger account balances mean larger required distributions. Larger required distributions mean higher tax brackets and potentially higher Medicare premiums. This is why the years between 59 and a half and 72 are so critical. It's your tax design window. The years when you have maximum control over your income and tax situation. But there's something else about waiting until 72 that most people don't consider. By 72, you've been eligible for Medicare for 7 years. You've been eligible for full Social Security benefits for 5 to 6 years, depending on your birth year. You've had penalty-free access to your retirement accounts for over 12 years. The question becomes, what were you waiting for? If you're healthy and financially ready at 62 or 65, those extra years of work might be costing you the best years of your retirement. The years when you can travel extensively, take on physical challenges, and have the energy for new adventures. Here's what the research shows about retirement satisfaction. 82% of retirees say they feel more relaxed, 75% report less stress, and 67% say they're happier now than when they were working. There's real science behind this. Researchers have tracked life satisfaction across decades and found something called the U-curve of happiness. Life satisfaction often dips during the middle years. Career stress, family responsibilities, financial pressures, but starts climbing again around retirement age. Not because life gets easier, but because we finally have space to breathe, to choose our own pace, and to spend time the way we want, not the way someone else schedules it. So let me give you a framework to think about your personal decision. The perfect retirement age isn't 59 and a half or 72 or any number on a calendar. It's when 3 things align: your freedom, your health, and your finances. At 59 and a half, you gain financial freedom, penalty-free access to your retirement accounts, and the ability to design your income strategy. If your health is good and your finances are ready, this could be your moment. At 72, you lose some financial freedom. Required distributions begin, and the IRS starts making decisions about your money. But you've had 12 and a half years to prepare, and your accounts have had more time to grow. The question isn't which age is better. The question is, when do these 3 factors align for you? If you're 59 and a half, financially ready and in good health, waiting until 72 might mean trading your best years for returns you don't actually need. If you're 59 and a half but not financially prepared, those extra years of work and saving could be crucial for your long-term security. The key is being honest about where you stand and what you're optimizing for: maximum wealth or maximum life. Here's what I want you to do tonight. Ask yourself one simple question. If you could retire at 59 and a half with confidence, what would you do with those extra years that you can't do at 72? Your answer to that question might be worth more than any amount of additional savings. Because retirement isn't about working until you can't move. It's about using money and planning so you can stop working when you no longer need to, not when someone else's timeline tells you to. The choice between 59 and a half and 72 isn't just about money. It's about what kind of life you want to live and when you want to start living it. If you found this helpful and want to dive deeper into the specific strategies for retiring at 59 and a half, including how to manage healthcare costs and optimize your withdrawal strategy, click on the video I'm showing you right here. I break down the exact steps to make early retirement work, even if you think you're not ready yet. If this video helped clarify your retirement planning decisions, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more practical retirement strategies. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Are you leaning toward retiring at 59 and a half or waiting until 72? What's your biggest concern about making this decision? And if you know someone who's wrestling with this same choice, please share this video with them. These decisions are too important to make alone.